In 2005, there was a film released by DreamWorks Animation called Robots. I remember vaguely this film following the main protagonist, who's a robot, as you would presume, trying to become an inventor and only following his dreams, yet throughout the film leads to him witnessing his friends and family being dismantled in front of him and everything becoming bleak. However, by the end of the film, he ends up succeeding anyways. And there was a scene in this film that I remember as a 6-year-old stating, "Boy, when you pick the lost cause, you really commit." Now, reflecting that film as a 22-year-old, when you pick the lost cause and you really commit, there's other examples that can prove this true. One example would have to be Avengers Infinity War or Endgame, however you remember it as, where the second example would be you have no other choice but to pick the lost cause. Now the third example would, when you pick the lost cause and willing to commit, it would be simply when you have nothing but hope to rely on. Now in Avengers Infinity War or Endgame, our heroes, the group of heroes that we grew up with, have all the odds against them, millions of odds against them, and one chance to bring their friends back. Yet throughout the film, as they're choosing or as they're chasing after the Infinity Stones, they all have to make sacrifices in order to retrieve those stones, and everything, once again, like similar to the movie Robots, becomes bleak and follows the tale of becoming an underdog. Now, how the hero succeeded was by committing to winning the battle against Thanos, which they ended up doing, but at the cost of losing their main leader and best friend, Tony Stark, who also, went out in an emotional way to prove this true. Now, a second example would have to be reflected on this past year too, when you have no choice but to choose the losing cause because it's your only option, similar to how the heroes have no choice but to chase after their one hope out of all the millions of odds against them. Now, when choosing the lost cause is your only option, it's primarily because it's out of your control, or you have no other option to always just keep your head up. Now, choosing to commit rather than complaining, like these last year where 2020 just threw events after events that afflicted everyone negatively. I mean, for example, it would have to be that we're stuck in a room sending videos to a computer, and you have no other option but to commit to your education or to yourself and hold yourself accountable when you're taking a speech class that's supposed to be happening in person and you're here panicking in a room. Now that's more of a subject that I can support, as anyone can support, who is still watching this dreadful video stating where that's all I have to, I have no other choice, I have no other option but to stick. It's not like I can skip back to 2019, or if you were to hop on Twitter, 2016 was the hype year that everyone wants to go back to. No, 2020 was the only option where you have to choose a lost cause and stay and commit. Now, the reason for that is because everyone is trying to keep their heads up. And the third example would have to be that people are willing to choose a lost cause and willing to commit because that they have a sense of hope, or however you would, know it as by. Primarily, I recognize it as hope. Now, myself, my friends that I grew up with had no other option of getting out of Azusa. And they primarily chose the lost cause in hopes to make their future better as well. and they had a sense of hope. They had a sense of hope just with the idea of keeping. Let's start it again because